Welcome to the video, everyone. Thank you for joining me. We're going to be talking about these two beautiful machines right here, the 2K Classic, the 2K XL. I've had this for 2 months now. The XL was like my first MPC 20 years ago. They are very, very similar. Only a few things really sets them apart. One of them is not the sound. Some people believe that this one has a bit more punch to it. I didn't notice any difference in the sound, to be honest. And I'm not going to do a comparison between sound here. I'm just going to talk about the differences that they have. I don't believe there is any difference when it comes to sound, but you can check out VU Beats. He does comparison between old MPCs like the 2K, the 3000 and all of that. He does a really good job at it, so you can go and watch his videos. My only interest when it comes to sound was to see how the low end is, because these machines do have a bit of, they're lacking on the lower frequencies. If I compare it to one of the new MPCs or even the 60 right there, you'll notice that the 60 has a bit more low end punch to it than these do. So I did test the two, compare the two. There wasn't really a difference between the two. And obviously it always depends on how you sample inside of the machine. If you push it a bit too hard, you're going to get a bit of clipping on the inputs, and that will change the sound a little bit. It just always depends how much volume you push into the machines. First of all, I'm going to start from the top here. The buttons, I'm going to show you some of the differences. There aren't many, to be honest. Mainly the differences come from this side of the MPC, where you have different pad bank buttons on the XL, and on the 2K you only have one button that goes from one pad bank to the other. Then you got your full level, your 16 level, same as the XL, but the XL has track mutes and it has a next sequence. Both these things can be accessed in the 2K. It's still there, but it doesn't have a dedicated button for that. The data wheel is a bit different. I've always enjoyed the data wheel on the XL. To me, it's my favorite data wheel of all the MPCs. It has this little dent that you can put your finger on. It just makes it super quick and super easy to dial in a bunch of numbers. The 2K has this twisting thing that you can, it's basically for numbers. So if you want to get quicker to a higher number, you just jump a few houses in the number. This one's a bit noisier. Still, I mean, the 2500 is really noisy. Hated that wheel. Apart from that, pads feel exactly the same. As I said, man, it's the same machine. Same inputs, same outputs. You can use the same effects card inside of these. Actually, I took the effects card from the XL and put it on the 2K. I'm using it right now on the 2K, but I'm going to take it away because the screen, and this is one of the bad things about the 2K Classic, is that the screen, it burns real quick if you don't take care of it. Of course, you have the tilt screen, but you always have the trick for the shift and the wheel. If you do that, it will change the contrast on the screen, and if you're sitting back and just adjust that contrast, you can see it from here. It's no problem. Then we get to the insides of the MPCs, and one of the things is really this. This is an operating system, and your MPC won't start without it. So you need to have that either on a floppy, in case you're still using a floppy on your MPC, or if you're using a USB emulator, you put the OS in the USB and it will always be there. But it needs to be there for the machine to actually work. You know, and none of the other MPCs, I think this is the only MPC that comes with the OS to be booted up, loaded up into the machine. And I think a lot of people back then just really didn't want to have anything to do with this because of this booting of the disk. So it's kind of crazy that happened. I did replace my floppy here on the XL for an SD card reader, and it's great because the XL actually allows you to create folders when you're saving stuff. right? And the 2K doesn't allow you to do that. There's no way for you to create a folder on the 2K. The Excel does that. And here is where the Excel starts to gain advantage. Like the next sequence thing that we have on the newer MPCs, you can jump between sequences. It's available on the Excel. On the 2K, it's not available. You can jump to another sequence, but you have to do it with a data wheel like that. Here you can use the pads for that. So, one of the things that doesn't come here in my notes is that one of the things I really dislike about these two machines is that you cannot monitor audio coming in while you're playing the beat. You could do that with the 60 right there, one of the first MPCs or the first MPCs to come out. You could play a sequence, listen to the sequence, bang on the pads, and listen to the audio coming in at the same time, which is really helpful because you want to do that. You want to have your beat play and listen to incoming samples or drums or whatever at the same time so you can compare the two and see if it fits or not. But there's no way for you to do that on these two. The Excel has the second sequence function. This is a cool function. The newer MPCs don't have this, which means you can play two sequences at the same time. You just have to choose which sequences play together and it's done. So it's fun. You can try samples from another sequence and stuff like that. The solo button. This is one of the things that I miss on the newer MPCs as well. You can solo a track straight from the track mute screen. You can do that on the new MPCs, but here it does it much better because on the newer MPCs, once you hit solo, it always goes for the first track. It always solos the first track, and then you can solo the other ones. It's kind of weird the way it works. Here, you have to press solo and then you press the track that you want to solo. So for live performances, it doesn't really work that well. There's no way to do that, do the solo from the 2K, the classic. So if you go to the track mute screen, there's no solo in there. Then we get here to the resample a sound with a different bit depth. This doesn't have that, okay? You cannot resample at different bit rates or sample rates. So one of the things that I noticed when it comes to the sample edit screen here there are a few differences that I noticed. Here you can chop different zones, up to 16 different zones, and create a program with that. So if I have like a loop, a drum loop or anything, or just a loop, I can chop it into 16 straight from the sample edit screen, and then I'll create a new program with that, because you can create up to 4 programs on the Excel. This, I think you can only have one drum program. So it's just a very easy way to chop samples, to chop loops. This one can do it easily. This one, no. But it's kind of like okay, because I like doing it the way of the 2K. So certain things I don't really mind not having on the 2K, because it just fits better. My workflow fits better the way you do it here. The Excel has automatic chromatic assignment. And this is basically like creating a key group. So I've done this in the past, and it's cool, man. You just go to a sound and you can create a program with it and assign it chromatically to all the pads, which then you can play chromatically. And if you have a keyboard, a MIDI keyboard connected to the MPC, you can actually play. You cannot do that on the 2K. So these are things that the Excel can do. There's a bunch of other small little things that this one does, which I don't think is really, It says here that the Excel can change sequences with program change. That's cool. That's the thing that I use now and again. Very, very rarely I use it, but which is, you can assign program changes to change a sequence. That's a cool little trick, actually. But that's MIDI, and I hate MIDI. So and that's it. I mean, that's the most important things. There are other things in here that I could mention, but I just don't think they're that important. So I just leave it at where it is. I mean, between the two, I'll be honest, man, it's basically the same thing. Choose one over the other. You won't really notice any difference. If you had the two, you wouldn't notice that much difference, I don't think, except of booting with the OS on a disk. And when saving, that's the great thing about this, is that you can create folders and say like this is my beat, it's named da, and then save it inside there. You can save a bunch of kicks and snares and whatever into each folder. So you can create these folders. That's really helpful, and that's the reason why I have an SD card installed in here. Now both of these machines come with a low pass filter, but it doesn't have a high pass. And if you don't have that effects card installed in either one of them, it means that you're not going to have a high pass filter, and that's the reason why I have it. Some people like to work with the 8 outs, so they'll mix with the 8 outputs and add a high pass to the samples that they need to add it to. But I kind of like to save everything, do it all inside the MPC and save it into the card, and that's why I have the effects board installed inside this. They're both great, man. They both sound the same. It's down to the same workflow almost. If you still want to know more about these two machines, just let me know. I'll make another video for you guys. And if you really want, I can compare sounds between the two. But as I said, there is this channel called VU Beats, and he has really nice comparison videos between these old machines and other samplers as well. So I would tell you to go and watch his videos. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching. All the best, and I'll see you in the coming video. Okay, peace. Take care.